Welcome to a Legendarium special about Gobleki Tepe, humanity's first temple. In this episode, we will learn about how and why humanity created its first sacred place. The Fertile Crescent is a boomerang-shaped region that became home to some of the earliest known civilizations. It extends from the Nile River on Egypt's Sinai Peninsula in the south to the southern fringe of Turkey in the north. In the southeast of Anatolia, a range of snow-capped limestone peaks rise over 9,000 feet above the flat plain beneath. The Taurus Mountains rise so sharply that rain clouds often fail to pass over them. Instead, they gather in the hollows and valleys, giving them torrents of rain. During springtime, the clouds grow even denser. Violent thunderstorms rock the mountains during this time of year, echoing off the valley stones. This is a landscape shaped by water. Streams and waterfalls cut into the rock and hollow out some of the largest caves in Asia. Water also shaped the beliefs of local people, who built great temples decorated with terracotta statues of bull horns. Since ancient times, the people of the Taurus Mountains worshipped the sun god Tashu. They believed he rode on the back of a giant bull, perhaps because the booming sound of thunderclaps reminded them of the footfalls of an enormous bull. During the summer, rivulets of rainwater flow onto the flat plains beneath into the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. For thousands of years, these rivers brought life to the arid plains of Southwest Asia. They swept along the earth, and the quartz and feldspar, which makes up more than half the earth's crust, is swept along. This made the flooding rivers glimmer in the light, but also caused silt to deposit on the floodplains of Mesopotamia. Earth rich in silt is the perfect dwelling place for most plants, giving it a clay-like quality, making the region extraordinarily fertile. Without the seasonal flooding caused by the Taurus Mountains, the hot and arid plains of Southwest Asia would not support much life. Yet, the region's combination of fertile soil, productive freshwater, and brackish wetlands produced an abundance of edible plant species. Here, humans began to experiment with the cultivation of grains and cereals, not as the beginning of civilization, but simply to provide a more reliable source of foraging. Traditional accounts believed that humanity discovered farming, settled in permanent villages, and then began creating monumental architecture to the earth gods. Instead, the opposite has been proven true. People founded the first villages because they found some areas that were so rich in so much wildlife year-round that they no longer had to roam. The first villagers of Mesopotamia lived in round dwellings made from mud and brick along the upper reaches of the Tigris and Euphrates river valleys. In what is today southeastern Turkey, some of the first villages came to see the sacred in the landscape which sustained them. A particular hill in the foothills came to be especially significant around 15,000 years ago. It stood at the spiritual navel of a world profoundly different from modern Southwest Asia. From this hill, the first settled humans could behold paradise. Prehistoric people would have gazed upon herds of gazelle, gently flowing rivers which attracted migrating geese and ducks, and fruit and nut trees growing in abundance. Rippling fields of wild barley and wheat such as emmer and einkorn grew, and undulating oceans that stretched as far as the eye could see. This hill, now called Gobleki Tepe, or Potbelly Hill, saw prehistoric humans move massive carved stones beginning 11,000 years ago. That is more than 6,000 years before humanity did the same at Stonehenge in modern-day England. Unlike the stark plateaus that dominate the region, This gently rounded hill rises only 50 feet high. People without metal tools or pottery crafted and arranged these huge stones. The sloping and rocky ground proved to be a mason's dream. Craftsmen wielding flint tools chipped away at soft limestone outcrops, shaping them into pillars on the spot. After doing so, they carried them about 1,000 feet to the summit and hoisted them upright. In time, the ancient builders covered them over with dirt and placed another ring nearby or on top of the old one. Over the centuries, these layers made the hilltop bigger and bigger. Around the hill, archaeologists found no signs of agriculture, like fertility figurines or pottery. Instead, they found stone hammers and blades. In the archaeological site today, standing stones are arranged in circles in the excavators' pits. Beyond, on the hillside, are 4 other rings of partly excavated pillars. Each ring has a similar layout. In the center are 2 large stone T-shaped pillars encircled by smaller stones arranged to face inwards. The tallest pillars are 16 feet high and weigh between 7 and 10 tons. Before excavation in the 1990s, some of the standing stones lay so close to Earth's surface that they had marks from modern plows. Some raised stones are blank, while others are elaborately carved. These older stones, built during the late Neolithic, abound with images of foxes, lions, scorpions, and vultures. Human imagination appears drawn to the most dangerous animals, worthy of fear and respect. These creatures twist and crawl on the pillars' broad sides. Hissing snakes and roaring lions existed alongside abstract art like rough, lizard-like engravings and, most strikingly, headless men. Could this mean Gobleki Tepe was a center of human sacrifice or funerals? And this leads scholars to another question: why did Neolithic hunter-gatherers build this? Most likely it served as a center of religious worship. Dozens, perhaps hundreds of people could cram within the torch-lit stone circles. One of the pillars is arranged in such a way that 2 stones frame Sirius, the dog star, which suggests that Gobleki Tepe served as a center of star worship even before people turned to agriculture. In a sign that villages of hunter-gatherers lived around Gobleki Tepe, scholars have also discovered tens of thousands of gazelle bones, more than 60% of the total bones found around Gobleki Tepe. Scholars have also found the bones of other wild game such as boar, sheep, and red deer. History's first builders also fed upon a dozen bird species, including vultures, cranes, ducks, and geese. These 100,000 animal bones imply Gobleki Tepe to be a center of communal feasting where people celebrated marriages or festivals. If so, then Gobleki Tepe served a very similar function to Stonehenge in faraway Britain. Construction only ceased around 8,200 years ago after more than 3,000 years of on-again, off-again building. Strikingly, Gobleki Tepe seems to have vanished from local memory. Though a center of life for more than 3,000 years, no local kings later commemorated Potbelly Hill on their coins, as pre-Roman Britons did for Stonehenge. It only began to re-enter the popular imagination when German explorer Klaus Schmidt made a life-changing discovery in 1994. When he saw dozens of Neolithic flints around the hill, he knew that he had not happened across an East Roman cemetery as many believed, but something very old and, to us, very new. That wraps things up for this episode of the Legendarium. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, press like. If you want to see more, press subscribe. And if you've got anything to say, let me know in the comments section. Thanks again for joining me, and I hope that you have a great rest of the day.